What's up, everybody? Tomcat back here again. And we're back with Tales from the Cat, Part 3. Homelessness continued. So yeah, me and my wife were split up. She was in Detroit, and I was in downtown Detroit. Because I ran out of places to stay at, and the jobs, they ended up going bye-bye. So the cat knew a friend who was a friend of a guy who owned a warehouse in downtown Detroit. About a mile from Comerica Park. 3/4 of a mile from the new stadium. Well, Old Tiger Stadium was the old stadium, and 3/4 of a mile was from Comerica Park, where the Tigers played. The Detroit Tigers. And I would get drunk every day while I was working, and I was working a forklift. And I was staying in a tent too. And girls would come to my tent to do what girls do. You know what's up. It didn't cost me money, and that was cool. But then I stayed at the building in the basement. And there was a girl that I didn't get along with working there. And her psycho brother lived upstairs. And he was a murderer and a chomo and all that shit. So I didn't like the fucking guy. And frankly, I didn't like her. And she definitely didn't like me. But I would work the flea markets on Saturday and Sunday. I would go near Pennsylvania on Saturdays. And all the Amish girls were all over me. And then on Sundays, I would work at Armada. At the Armada, Michigan flea market. And I would see all the women there with their husbands, and I'm like, fuck. Why can't that be me? You know what's up? And then we go back to downtown Detroit, and I was working 7 days a week. Well, we got this girl working at the counter, and she was a cool little chick. So the cat would always flirt with her, because the cat flirts with the women all the time. I mean, not now since I'm married, but that's what's up. So the girl and I went on a date at the bar. And my boss hooked me up with free tickets to a Detroit Tigers game. So we would go to Tigers games and this and that. And she lived maybe a half mile from Comerica Park. But we weren't feeling each other because the cat's got his own way of doing things, and she didn't like it because I was a fucking drug addict and a drunk. And she wasn't looking for that. So nothing came after that within like 2 months. So I started hustling my ass off and working at another plastics factory down on 23 Mile Road in Gratiot. And I met this couple that were homeless. They were drunk. Larry and Rosalind. And we used to hang out by the temp agency. And if we didn't have any work, we would hit the spot to the woods together and get drunk. Snort some coke. And that's what's up. Well, Larry ended up going to prison. I guess for a charge that he committed earlier and he got caught. And him and Rosalind weren't married. But I was in a tent chilling on 23 in Gratiot in the woods. And she used to come to my tent and do things for me. You know what I mean. She would do things for me. Wink, wink, nod, nod. And that's what's up. Well, there was a guy at the temp agency that used to live in his truck. And it was so cold, even when he ran his truck and ran in the heat, he ended up getting frostbite and getting his foot taken off. Well, this girl, Rosalind, she was like an advocate or something. But she was just as much of a drunk as the cat. And she got him at a halfway house or something. I don't know what she did. But she ended up getting a mobile home in the park on 23 Mile. where my good friends were at. And so we had a couple months where I was riding a bicycle and going to work, and living there with her and some other dude. But that all ended. Money couldn't be gotten, and we couldn't be asked to stay, so that's what's up. So I was back on my own in the woods. And I used to remember it being like negative 10 degrees. And I used to go to the movie theaters. This was like 2006. And Date movie was just starting in the theaters. And Allison Hannigan, the redhead from How I Met Your Mother, Lily, I had the biggest crush on her since the movie American Pie came out. And I would go every time I had money just to get warm to go see Date movie. Or Larry the Cable Guy's Health Inspector movie. I would go and see that too. Just to get warm, spend the last of my money after drinking. Maybe I'd eat a little bit, but I was such a drunk at the time. All I wanted to do was fucking drink. Because life sucked. And then I came home one day, and somebody destroyed my tent. So I was looking for abandoned vehicles to live in. And I found an abandoned van in a factory next door to where I was working. And as long as I set my alarm for like 4 a.m., I was able to get in and get out and nobody noticed. All right, let's get to the next part. This is going to take a minute, so I love you guys. Tomcat out.